I was reflecting on one of Bishop Patterson's greater sacrifices uh, in his decision to not be transactional, and how over time, and that seems to uh, be one of the crowning moments of why he's still relevant in the conversation. Um, Bishop Patterson was on BET at 7:30 in the morning, the slot, right in front of BET's most popular show for years. If you all didn't know, the 8 a.m. in the South, the Bobby Jones show came on. And despite all the rap shows and all the different things that were on, the Bobby Jones show was the highest rated show on black entertainment television. So Bishop G.E. was on immediately before that. And that's how I say that he became Black America's Sunday morning pastor. But his decision was different from a lot of television ministries. Bishop Patterson's television ministry, he was on other stations. He later became on TBN, but he was in a lot of regional markets. But BET, in my opinion, made him Black America's pastor. Uh, he made some incredible decisions that, as much as the TV ministry was, and I think right before his death, that BT had gotten to be about 26,000 on for every 30-minute broadcast, 26 grand. So on a 5 Sunday month, get ready to pay that 130, 140, whatever it is. So it just got to be so expensive. But Bishop Patterson made some admirable thing. What you didn't know is I worked the telephone. Well, you didn't have to know that, but I worked the telephone lines at Temple Deliverance, or for the Bountiful Blessings broadcast. You know, when GE said, "Write me," that's G.E. Patterson. That's Gilbert Earl Patterson. And then I loved how he said, if you would like to use your credit card to make your contribution to this ministry, dial our number 1-800-544-3571. Still remember the number, folks. But what you didn't know, that most of the people in the television worked the phone lines. They were volunteers. So you had to get up extra early on your Sunday morning. You couldn't sit back and cruise and rest. You had to go to be there for the television ministry. And Bishop Patterson's greatest thing was our volunteer force. Sometimes, there were 40 people. Sometimes there were 15 people. But at the height of his ministry, you got to think that we're either 15 or 40. However many 90 million homes that BET reaches into, we missed a ton of calls. The phone would start ringing at the front, and then it would go down each and every row. And then at the high point of his ministry, where he's tuning and hooping, then the phone lines went totally crazy. We missed hundreds of calls every Sunday. Before you throw a stone at Bishop Patterson's business prowess, you got to consider this. He knew of what's called fulfillment centers, to where they'll ship your tapes out and they'll take your phone line orders, and they have unlimited amounts of operators to take all of your calls. But he made the decision that if one person calls in and wants prayer, I want somebody on that line to pray for them, to lead them to Christ, to hear their issues. So we were on the phone, helping, praying, delivering. Sometimes people watching, you got to think they went to sleep. That was probably also a blessing, is that Bishop Patterson wasn't on a Christian television station. BET was not Christian, so they probably went to sleep high watching BET. And they woke up and all of a sudden they wanted to talk about all of their issues and how they contemplated suicide. More than once I prayed for someone who was contemplating, and I was like a boy, like a rookie preacher. But when you hear somebody talking about suicide, all of a sudden you get riled up. You pray your best, you do your best. So he made sacrifices that if you called the big boys in television ministry, you never would have gotten that, because all of those guys decided to go to fulfillment centers to where we're here to take your order. We're not here to pray for you. We go take your order. And most of those guys, I can't say all, but 90% of them, we're taking your order. We're getting your funds in, and we're moving on. Look, that decision over the years had to translate into millions of dollars of missed orders. But while you throw a stone at him, they want to throw a stone at his business decision. Listen to this. He told me in a private meeting once that he'll never come off of television. And he's been gone soon for 16 years. And guess what? He's still on television. The people that call into the Bountiful Blessings broadcast now, I think it's just on Word and maybe a smaller regional market somewhere. But the people that call in for those, you got to consider they can't play that CD in their car anymore. Most people don't have a videotape, but they call in and make contributions to the ministry because they have remembered over the years how they were blessed by his Bishop Patterson's ministry broadcast. Folks, in essence, to look over this, stop being so transactional. It's what you do for people that they'll remember, how you made them feel, how you lifted their spirits, how you brought them through a tough season. I never was on the board of directors of Temple Deliverance, but I understand television through and through. And then my business mind, I'm always thinking of business processes because it grieved my spirit at the time to see so many missed calls, because those missed calls represent revenue that the ministry needed. But I was looking on the short end, and Bishop Patterson was pushing towards the long run. And I think his decision has blessed the ministry greatly. Sister Patterson told me before she passed away, she said, "Steve, I'm not on television for my health. If people wasn't ordering, I would have been off." After one guy who promised always to give all over the years, and then that guy's boatload came in. She said he called and they thought they were hearing their ears, and he donated $50,000 to the ministry broadcast. Look, what you do for people, people will remember. They will remember how you made them feel. So maybe that's a lesson for those of us in this day, to stop being so transactional, stop being so short-sighted. Every now and then, playing the long game will bless your life. Bishop Patterson's decision to play the long game still has him on television on the Word Network in one of its main spots every Sunday. And I'm pretty sure that spot's no less than $6,000, $7,000, $8,000 a week. So, hey, only what you do for Christ will last. Sometimes you got to play the long game. Hats off to the late Bishop G.E. Patterson. Be blessed.